An online platform that sits in the center of it. So everything from meetings to services to collaboration and platform. So like I said, it's the greatest job in the world because I make people happy every day.
Peter Saddington, your big game hunter. And guys, we have our sights on someone special today.
Only a mother could invest in this idea.
Made this like super artistic.
That is actually absolutely correct. And that's a very, very astute assessment, actually.
True startup story, guys. You got it. Your company just got seed round financed. Congratulations. You're going to the moon. But now you have to scale. You found great talent out in California, New York, Georgia, and even Eastern Europe. So what communications platform will you be using to ensure your international team is always aligned? Well, the answer is easy. Slack.com for Teams. We've used Slack for all of our previous startups, and they've supported us in tremendous ways. And we want to give them a thanks today for supporting vchunting.com. Did you also know that Slack is a great tool for personal use? Yeah, I use my own personal Slack channel to drop in documents, notes, to-dos, and follow-ups to ensure that my workflow throughout the day is right on course. I promise you, if you try out slack.com for personal use, you'll end up using it for your team as well. Go to slack.com to check it out. Welcome everybody to another episode, season 3 of VC Hunting. And you guys know that we're always on the hunt for great stories of venture capitalists, investors, and people in the world of technology. I have a great guest for us today. She is a strategist, advisor, researcher, author, speaker, and currently the VP of Community at Georgian Partners. Vanessa DiMauro, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Well, let's just jump right in. I've been just super curious about your life, your work, obviously doing a lot of research on you. And as the leading authority on B2B social business strategy, how did you come into the business of communities?
Oh, it's an interesting story. I actually graduated with a bunch of degrees in the middle of a recession. So so the only thing I knew how to do was really research. And I wound up by accident working for a government-funded think tank that was in charge of really taking ARPANET, pre-World Wide Web, and extending that into an experiment for supporting executives and scientists. So I wound up playing on the internet, building communities, just because I had a bunch of degrees, and it was a good place to land.
So what degrees do you have? Because I am also a collector of degrees. I have 3 of them. I have a graduate master's degree in counseling and organizational behavior, a master's in education and cognitive learning theory, and a master's in divinity. So time for you to share.
You win. That's amazing. Yeah, I've got a couple of degrees in literature and cultural anthropology, and I teach knowledge management at Columbia.
Awesome.
Information strategy and knowledge management. And it's a really great place to weave everything together because knowledge strategy is the center of communities of everything that we're doing, and sort of the future as knowledge workers. So.
Awesome. So tell us about your role at Georgian Partners. What are you spending most of your time doing there? Oh,
it's the best job ever. So it's really a dream. So what I am really focused on doing is Georgian Partners is a really awesome late stage growth investor in Canada, but they invest in North American companies. So mainly around organizations that are emerging or disruptive technology. And after we invest in a company, because Georgian Partners is really special, they respect entrepreneurs, they really care and curate, enabling them to become the best companies they can be. My role is really, after we invest in a company, to work with the executives and the companies to enable peer-peer collaboration. Because while Georgian provides some amazing products and services, we have a whole AI lab and all sorts of amazing stuff that we provide to the companies. There is also great value in learning with the woman or man that just did that at another company learned or is experienced. So I run a bunch of executive groups, not dissimilar from YPO-like groups,
Okay.
a CFO group, a CISO group, and a number of others. And then we also have an online platform that sits in the center of it. So everything from meetings to services to collaboration and platform. So like I said, it's the greatest job in the world because I make people happy every day. Hopefully. I try anyway.
Well, from my research, I think you do a pretty good job of that. And so when it comes to your particular role in helping these investments and helping these executives in peer-to-peer collaboration, is it more for them, is it more around helping them grow their company, or is it growing more of their community?
Oh, no, it's about helping them grow their company.
Okay.
Like, let me take my CFO group, for example. So we have 42, late stage CFOs, and there's great solace in learning in them collaborating together. Everything from what does your tech stack look like in order to optimize, the financial predictive models in your organization to how do we prepare for exit? Let's form a working group and work on the governance. They help each other, they review each other's board decks before a board meeting to help them position and think through their growth strategies. They call each other when they have grandchildren or children. Like it's everything in between, and really amazing.
And so in a lot of ways, you are a bridge or a connector for these invested companies and their leadership to say, hey, look, we just invested in you. You have a great company. We want to help you scale and grow. However, it's important that we also plug you in to other executives, other leaders that can help give you feedback, can help improve, bounce ideas off of. Am I on the right track here?
That's absolutely right. And I think one of our critical differentiators is it's purely a safe space. We function under Chatham House rule. And that's fancy for what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And so while I'm in the center and community, we have some subject matter experts. No one on any of their boards is ever privy to the conversations and collaboration. We trust them to manage their own communication, and we want them to get support from each other. So unlike many VC, I can't say most or all, but many of the VC communities, it's a petri dish of watching and support. But this is a pure play where these guys, these women have grown great companies and they know how to manage themselves and help each other, and we trust them.
Awesome. And I would say that in many ways, correct me if I'm wrong here, that many of these executives and leaders that you work with, this is a relatively new concept for them to be able to be connected with other peers, people that they can smash atoms together with and talk about ideas and get feedback from. Generally, when it comes to, and this is maybe my limited experience, but as a founder, maybe you work with more mature businesses than I do, but as a founder, we're often isolated. We're often in our own mind, building our company, focusing on scale and growth and product and services and all these types of things. Do you find it to be a challenge to connect these executives and leaders to the larger community out there, or do you find that they're generally really open to the opportunity to get feedback on how their startup is doing?
No, they're the drivers behind it. The reason why this community exists is because the CEOs and the executive suite asked for it. So they're ready, they're ripe, and they wanted it. And prior to joining Georgian Partners, I was a tech exec. I've been funded a number of times, exited, a few successful, one not. You learn more from the ones that aren't than the ones that do, but regardless. So, I've walked in their shoes and I understand that need for information. So they're ready, they share, they get more than they give, but it's balance of reciprocity. That's how life works.
So you've had a very focused career history focused on communities. And a question here was, what was the first community that you were a part of, and how did that impact you in terms of your career trajectory here?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You asked early, what one of my first jobs on it was ARPANET. And this was really exciting because prior to, right when I started working on the internet was when ARPANET was coming out of just being a scientific community to, military, to when it became open to academics, researchers, and physicists. And one of the project that I studied for many years under LabNet, which was the research guys, was what is the permutations of executive decision making using what we used to call asynchronous communication, right? So we sent people a modem in a box this big, and they got a 300 baud modem for free. Like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And we would connect the physicists here in the academic community with the ARPANET physicists, and we would cause conflict. We would have them try to solve Fermi puzzles that couldn't be knowable. We would we would inspire them to think together. And we studied and learned, how does knowledge transfer digitally in this way? And so that's why the executive communities are so critical and so interesting, because while they happen on and offline, there's something really magical, and magical is, fancy, or the scientific world for, smashing the atoms. When people can slow down what they know and write it down so that others can understand it, it's a better way to transfer tacit knowledge.
Awesome. I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of do a sales pitch here of sorts. And it's more of a statement than anything else, but why do businesses, because you're in the business of community, you're in the business of ensuring that your investment portfolio is doing well and connected to community. Why do all businesses need to focus on community? Or put another way, why, in your opinion, do all businesses need to mature and grow and support their existing communities? Why is that so important today?
Well, I'm going to split a hair. I don't think it's any more important today than it was in the past.
Fair enough.
Right? Let's go back to the Apple Card. There is power in having human connections. And I think the world went through a difficult period, not that long ago, where we start out with the time where everything was based on human and intimacy. Then we got as a society, as a world, we started to diffuse our connections and diffuse our knowledge in ways where everything was automated. Like, you don't need, you can't call customer support here, serve yourself. You can't do this. Automate it yourself. You got to check out yourself at the grocery store. We're missing that, hey, how are you?
Right.
Did you find everything you need? But now with the advent of cloud technology and cloud computing, we're going back to the Apple Card, because it's so easy for organizations to rip out a cloud application. There's not the same footprint as there used to be. So that has compelled and propelled the world into thinking a lot more about building those human relationships and providing that extra layer of connectivity, because that's the stickiness, is the human factor, and that helps make our choices, our purchases, our businesses more relevant and more useful.
Awesome. And what's so cool here is that everything that you just said echoes what you said over a decade ago on Twitter on September 4th, 2008. So we do a lot
I knew you were going to do this. I almost reread my 11 years on Twitter to see what I said.
Well, if we go back, we do a lot of research and digging here on VC Hunting.
Did you know that there's even more value than just audio or video? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok @VC Hunting, and make sure to sign up for the VC Hunting newsletter, where you'll be able to get weekly news on venture capital, startups, founder stories, and the occasional wisdom extracted from Peter's brain. Go to vchunting.com to sign up. And now back to the episode.
On September 4th, 2008, you had a tweet and you said this: the thing is that community building hasn't changed. What's old is new again. Tools change, but human behaviors remain the same. Face-to-face is still the measuring stick. So do you still believe that today?
Apparently, I'm consistent if nothing else.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So when it comes to communities, how do you feel that communities are going to be changing as we move forward? Now, we might have already covered this. You say, well, communities are the apple cart and the communities back then, and communities are the same today. But what do you see in terms of communities as we move forward into the 2020s and 2030s? Is there going to be an evolution of change, or is it going to merely be the tools change, but communities still relatively stay the same?
I'm seeing a rise in communities as being central to many organizations' business model. Now, I think we alluded to this a little bit at the beginning of this conversation. Like, I've been to this rodeo for a long time. I've built 250 communities through my last company, and I've seen the evolution, and communities are moving from a nice to have to a must have on the business level. And it's becoming core to the strategy in so many ways, from customer support and customer service to even sales channels. See, people know how to buy now. Buyers know how to make decisions, and they're often buying decisions, especially at an enterprise level, is often fueled by peer endorsements, by peer experiences, by information one can gather on and offline. So by the time an enterprise buyer shows up at the door of a sales, channel, they've already pre-selected. A company is no longer what they say they do on their website. A company is what their customers say about them, what their reputation precedes them. So to come full circle, communities, I believe, are central to many organizations' business model because they enable the buying process and the customer retention process in ways that were never before necessary or possible.
Now, when do you think there was an inflection point? I don't have my pulse on the community growth world as much as you do, but when was there an inflection point that businesses finally said, hey, look, yeah, we do marketing, we do branding, we do sales, we do commercials, all these types of things. But really what you just said, right, is that your company is what your customers say about them. And when was there this distinct, you probably know better than I do, when was there a distinct inflection point in the business landscape that companies finally said, ooh, we really need to grab a hold of our communities and be able to manage them and support them and encourage them around our brand? When did that happen? Was it a decade ago? Was it 5 years ago? What would you say?
It was about a decade ago when the advent of social media really became mainstream.
Fair enough.
Companies were waiting for customers to have a say, and then they did. And the companies didn't know what to do about it, right? All of a sudden you had customers tweeting joy and tweeting disdain on, the internet. You had videos being put up about Trader Joe's and, you name it. And companies were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? They're actually talking back. And then they had to get their stuff together and figure out how to engage and integrate as opposed to leave.
Fair enough. Fair enough. On September 25th, 2014, so we're still going back a little bit here, on Money Talks interview with Jesse Torrez. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
You talked about agile users who jump from brand channel to support the brands. And there was no centralized place. Do you feel like companies are now realizing that it's important to have a central location, a community hub of sorts, or are users still jumping from one brand identity to another brand landing page to another? Where do you think companies are landing here, and what do you think the strategy should be? Should they allow their users and their customers to go to multiple brand sites, or is it a smarter idea for companies to have a centralized place where their community can be focused on?
That's a really loaded question and a very good one. A lot will depend on the capabilities and the strategy of the organization. There are many companies who are not ready to support their customers full bear with a community. And if you're not, it can do more reputational damage than not having one at all. You have to do it incredibly well or not at all. So if an organization is really ready to listen to their customers and to take action based on their needs, preferences, and requirements, then a community is appropriate for them. But the expectation when you have a community is much deeper than if you run a Twitter stream or have, you know, a chat bot and things like that. So you need to match your intentions with your toolkit and engagement strategy. And I want to split in here too by saying, to me, community is the big C. Those are the humans, the people.
Right.
And the small c is the digital manifestation of which it can be an online community, it can be, you know, it can even be a meetup or a Twitter stream or a LinkedIn group or whatever. But at the end of the day, your community, custom companies should think about their community as the people they serve.
You made an interesting comment there that I'd love to unpack just a little bit around community. It's like the businesses need to either do it well or do it not at all. Unpack that for us a little bit. Is it where like you have to have a really robust and well thought out strategy to manage your community, or if you don't, just leave it to Reddit, just leave it to Twitter, and let those kind of self-emerge as the mechanisms for communication around your brand and your company? How can we kind of find a middle ground here, or is there not one?
Right. No. And just because in a Reddit stream or there's a brand discussion or dedicated resource doesn't mean a company shouldn't participate in it. They should, no matter what. They're blogging or talking or conversing publicly because they want your attention. But to answer your question, so companies should get engaged and actively seek out places where they're being talked about and engage honestly, transparently, and legitimately with their audience. But you asked me, you know, what are the constructs or the situations where communities should, you know, are worth building? So
right.
I like to think of it as the overlap strategy. So for a company to invest in a community, and they are material investment. I did a great study a bunch of years ago that looked at the business impact of communities, and we found that the more within reason, when a company invests appropriately in community, their ROI model is, you know, threefold, but underfunded communities go to the wayside. So anyway, with the overlap model, you know, one of the foundations of a good community strategy is to find, you know, identify what are some of the core needs that the business has for building the community. Is it to accelerate adoption of the tools and services? Is it innovation? Is it customer intimacy, retention? You figure that out. What are the primary goals of the community? And then you listen to your customers and what are their primary goals? What do they want and need from each other and from your organization? You can't serve all masters, but you can find the overlap. Maybe 2 or 3 things that the company wants and the customer wants, and that becomes the sweet spot for the build. I think doing small steps well is better than boiling oceans.
For sure. I think it makes a lot of sense to have someone out in the community, engaging with them, getting feedback and seeing what their needs are and being able to, as you say, match that with the company strategy as well. It makes a lot of sense. When it comes to, so we have a lot of founders, we got a lot of what I like to call the entre-pro curious, people that are interested in building a company or building a startup. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, around the value of community. And so for all of our listeners out there, what would you say would be the easiest quick steps? Obviously, this is not a detailed walkthrough of any sort, but what would you say is the best way to begin growing a community if you're a new founder or if you're a new entrepreneur?
Listen well and listen continually. They will lead you where they need you to go, and you will always be on point with what you offer them if you're always listening.
That's great advice. It's great advice. What would you say are the best mechanisms today to be able to listen to your community? Is it just the usual social platforms of the day, or is there a particular one that you find that is really helpful and actually more powerful in amplifying their message than any others?
Right. So that's three questions, but there are a variety of different listening tools out there, but they're all valuable for different uses. But the thing I would stress to any company that's trying to listen to their consumers and their constituents is don't overlook the qualitative data. And don't leave that to a sentiment analysis tool or whatever, because sentiment analysis tools are often 50% wrong. Like, who would want a car that only starts half the time? Don't use tools that are only somewhat useful. So we like to count that which we can that is knowable. We love to look at number of retweets or likes, all those different physical numeric manifestations of engagement, but reading the sentiments, compiling the information, and looking for not just the polar, net promoter score outliers, but the middle really matters, and listen to the middle well, whatever way you can. Community is a living focus group, so it's an opportunity.
Living focus group. Now there's been a lot of literature that I've read around how to grow a community, incentivize a community, mobilize a community. What would you say would be the best way to get more powerful feedback from a community and leverage them more effectively than merely having them do some sort of survey? What would you say is the best way to mobilize a community in today's technological world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, getting back to the community is the big C and not the little c. And there, it really needs to be a portfolio of engagement activities. There, everything from having customers at meetups at conferences, to having them specialized customers come tour your site, see your factory floor, understand your products, to even engaging them on strategy and roadmaps. I like to think of everything as a bullseye, right? When you think of a bullseye, there's different layers of engagement and designing for that. On the outside ring, it might just be engaging with the brand, posting something on Twitter, asking a question in a forum, but as you move inwards to the intimacy circle, the middle might be helping each other out, customer to customer. That's super important, especially in B2B or enterprise buys, when the average footprint can be $1 million of a buy. To the center, the bullseye being on your advisory panel or helping shape future products and services. So everyone's not going to get engaged on all levels, but think about what the key areas of engagement are, and then design on or offline to enable and empower that.
That's awesome.
Would be my advice.
I think it's great advice. When it comes to communities, it requires a type of personality, a type of individual that is really, really personable. I would even go as far as to say charismatic at some level, to be able to engage with a multiplicity of variable humans that are in that community itself. What would you say would be the best traits for a community lead or community manager? And what do they need to be able to be successful in that role?
Yeah, no, innate curiosity and the ability to not be a sage on a stage, but a guide on the side. Whether I know the answer or not, whether my team knows the answer or not, it doesn't matter. The goal is to empower that knowledge transfer among a group and to also create traceability. What the ultimate goal is to break down, similar to this podcast and the work you do, and you've been a community builder, is how do you diffuse and democratize the information? How do you get one council to another to be extensible, findable, and usable by many? That's really our goal. So while we're often sort of thought of as Julie the cruise director, we're really a good community builder is a knowledge worker that is always looking for ways to empower and extend knowledge in a way that it can be reused by many at the point of pain, or even better, before. So cultural anthropologist and patient person.
a people person of sorts, someone who's willing to listen and has enough of a analysis, I guess, experience to be able to take that and be able to be able to shape that and inform that in some way that is useful to the business is what I'm thinking here.
Yes.
Tell us a story. What was the most fun community that you ever were a part of, or you were a part of building?
Oh, I love them all so very, very much. But I'll tell you one story that it wasn't so much fun, but it was so very powerful. Actually, that one fun story is the trader community I built. We could not get them to put up their photos for anything. The traders wanted nothing to do with putting up their photos. So we wound up putting up pictures of Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. And that inspired just so many traders to take that down and either put up their car or a photo, but they just could not live with that. It was an image problem.
So these were traders, like stockbrokers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trader Weekly or Trader Monthly. It was an inside community that was hinged on within their trading systems.
Awesome.
That they were in all day long, so they needed to do knowledge transfer that way.
I was just going to say, tell us about the not so fun community, but one where you maybe learned a lot from. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I had a community. I was running a community with Cambridge Technology Partners, about 15,000 CIOs. And about the time that 9/11 happened, it was during the time that 9/11 happened. And we happened to have the CIO of a lot of the government agencies as well. And about an hour after, not even, half an hour after 9/11 happened, I was home with my baby, brand new baby, and my phone rang. And it was the CIO of one of the agencies that said, Vanessa, not hello, not anything, and I didn't, get a pen, was what he said. Get a pen. I need, and he identified a long list. I need 14 servers, 4,000 servers. I need 3 M4 trucks. I need. And here's the contact, and make this happen. Because he knew that the only way to get all of what he needed was because we had all the CIOs, thousands of them. And that was the fastest way, because there was the M4 CIO, and he sent 10 million trucks. And there was the guy, the CISO or CIO of this server company, and he could send this and that. And it was really powerful. And that's what community is about, right? Get me this, and you get it when the need is there.
It's communities are. You're right. Communities are such a powerful mechanism for just helping people. And that's one of the things that I love about growing communities is that I can help facilitate, I can help people, I can be not the go-to guy, but the person that helps bring people together who have like minds, like interests, and then they can share with each other and leverage each other and grow together. That's one of the terms that I always use with my communities is I just want to grow with you guys. I want to be just part of your daily life and your daily experience. Do you find that to be true with your experience as well?
Yeah, it goes through that it's like any relationship that when the community starts to form, it starts out very transactional. Everyone is building trust and doing what I consider collaborate and evaporate activities. Can you help me with this? Do you know how to do that? We're testing utilization. But when they start to grow some roots, then they move into that next stage of co-creation and co-development. The shortest distance between two people is a common puzzle. So they often, when community is starting to work or when community is growing roots, they start building things together. They become makers of assets, makers of methodology, makers of knowledge. And that is really a material tipping point that I watch for in executive communities.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the other side, or maybe some faux pas of communities. In November 14th of 2007, in an executing social media conference in Atlanta, where I am. I'm sorry I missed that 14 years ago. But in November 14th, 2007, an executing social media conference in Atlanta, you said don't use communities as an opportunity to sales pitch. And the example you gave was of a community that you sold to a company, and they have the salespeople infiltrate the community and start sales pitching to them. What would be, obviously that's a pretty bad social faux pas of sorts. What would you say are some of the other faux pas of community that you can help remind our listeners about when they're building their own?
Oh, my favorite blog post, well, one of my favorite blog posts was How to Kill Community in 10 Easy Steps. I think I wrote that in 2007, and it got a lot of attention, but I had so much fun writing because I was in a really bad mood that day, and those are the best blog posts, right? So there are a lot of ways to kill community. They're easier to kill than they are to grow, but everything from, expecting too much of the users and the community members without really having a give in it for them. They're often under-resourced, so make sure that you don't resource it well and you expect a miracle to occur, because they take a lot of time to grow. To sell to them, really treat your members terrible. Make sure that you sell them out at every course, and and don't protect them in any way. Make it only about the platform, because humans never like to meet in person or to share a beer or a story. There's a lot of ways that community is misunderstood to be a tool, a technology, a process, or something that can be mined. They need to be treated with respect as ecosystems of people.
So in my final question for you here, it was hard for me to write this down in my notes here, because I was trying to figure out how to talk about this in the right way. But with the internet today and social media today, what we're finding is a lot of censorship, as you well know. And one of the things that has been revolving around the censorship is censorship of communities that have different political views or different ideas about government or the way that the climate should be changed. What would be your opinion when it comes to the sensitive issues of censorship and free speech when it comes to communities? And is there a way to manage communities effectively while allowing them to have free speech without censorship? Or is that something that we're always going to be struggling with that tension with?
Yeah, no, it's really becoming significant. And in ways that we've never seen before. It's very upsetting and it's very troubling. And there's an accountability, getting back to, community thesis. We need to start as consumers, as community members, and we're all community members, taking an active role in taking back our privacy and aligning with the freedom, the EF, to owning our channels and making our voices be heard about what is okay and what is tolerable and intolerable. It's on us, and I think people are very upset. Those who are woke and paying attention, but if anyone's read Shoshana Zuboff's new book, it knits together what's happening in a way that, while very dystopian, it's a call to action. We have an accountability, a need, and a requirement to protect future generations. The time is now.
I love it. Well, this has been a life-giving conversation, Vanessa DiMauro. This has been great. I'm really encouraged that there are people like you out there that are focusing so much on what I believe to be is a competitive advantage to business when it comes to community. I'm going to give you the final word. Where can we learn more about you, Vanessa, and find out more of what you're up to these days?
Well, I'm always on Twitter. I'm at VDiMauro on Twitter. I have an infrequent blog on Medium, and I'm always at Georgian Partners. So if there are any great companies on the later stage, come find us. It's an amazing place to work and we to get money from, and we have an amazing community to offer you. So
awesome. Well, thanks so much again, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you.
True startup story time. Guys, as a founder, I'm often asked, what are my go-to tools and technology that I use as I begin a startup? Well, that's easy. One of them is Dropbox. Dropbox is the easiest way to ensure that all your files and documents are synced on all devices, whether it be mobile, your local desktop, or remote. we want to thank Dropbox for supporting vchunting.com, and make sure to get your 30-day trial free at dropbox.com/business. Wow, well, wasn't that awesome? A great conversation with Vanessa DiMauro. Rhymes with tomorrow, she said. Vanessa DiMauro, VP of Community at Georgian Partners. You know, you guys know that I'm just a huge fan. Not even a fan. I am enthralled. My entire life is community. Having built multiple communities in the past with my startups, I feel like I know that community is a competitive advantage to a business, especially if you can do it well. And you can leverage those communities for feedback, support, growing your business, growing yourself, and for some founders, merely just having people around you that can help you through those cold days, those dark days as a founder. And for all those founders out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I loved this conversation. Vanessa is clearly a seasoned expert in community, and right now she's helping executives and leaders in their investment portfolio grow their companies, connect with other leaders in their community to make sure that they have the best feedback, the best help and support that they need so that they can grow and obviously make an excellent return for Georgian Partners. You know, one of the things that I wanted to extract from Vanessa is why community matters, and I think she did a superior job of that. Community really does matter. Companies today need to have a community manager or someone who's actively engaged within the community around them. And the reason is simple. Your community is what your company really is. What they're talking about, what they're communicating about, what they're posting is really what your brand, your community, what your brand or your company is all about. It doesn't matter what's written on your website. You can have ABC website and you sell XYZ. But if everyone that has bought that is saying something different, or saying that it's not a good product, or saying that it's different from what's advertised, that really is the true brand marketing. That really true is the brand image of who you are, regardless of what you say. And it's so important, especially as we move into this new world, the 2020 to 2030s. And this is something that I'm writing in my book about, is how in the future, your brand, the marketing, right, the community that you surround yourself with is going to be even more important for career growth and any type of company that you want to build. And so I'm so glad that we were able to have Vanessa come on. I know it was a little choppy in some places of the video. That's life. You work with what you got. I really appreciated her ideas around how not to do community. And it's funny because the first thing she said is that you're expecting too much of your community. You know what? I've fallen into that trap before with previous communities that I've built, is that I've come off hard. I come off expecting a lot, expecting them to be able to change their lives and be able to leverage everything that I'm giving them within the community and all the community members are giving each other and make a huge impact. But people have to go at their own pace. They have to grow and they have to learn and they have to be able to consume content at a pace that is sustainable for them. She also said that we don't spend time understanding our users. I think it's easy to say, hey, and look at community as, hey, this is a sales channel rather than a human channel. And I think I've seen a lot of communities out there that's what that becomes, especially in the crypto space. Telegram communities, it really is just a shill community or a push community where everyone's just trying to figure out what the next best coin is. It's not really a community. It's merely, as Vanessa said, it's just a transaction. It's a transactional relationship of sorts. The other thing she said, yeah, obviously don't sell. And for those that are growing community, you got to make sure that you care, that you spend time engaged with them. One thing that we didn't get into is the consolidation of tools. That's something that we talked about offline just a little bit here. And I'm seeing a very significant growth in the tooling area of community, and I'm hoping that we can see even more as we move forward. One of the things that Vanessa said that she was going to connect me with are all the vendors in the community tooling area. So I'm really curious about what she's going to reveal to me, because I've done some searches and I know of some community tools out there, but I certainly don't know as much as Vanessa does. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Vanessa DiMauro just as much as I did. And if you want more information on this interview, go find your way over to the field notes on vchunting.com/Vanessa DiMauro. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with me on this interview. I'm excited for more interviews as we're moving through the year. We're in season 3 already, my friends, and it's going to be getting even better, especially since I'm getting closer and closer to my goal of building a venture fund. Thanks, guys, for tagging along. We'll see you next time.